किंवा जीव भौतिकी असं म्हणतो. या शाखेमध्ये भौतिकशास्त्रातील नियम असतील, सिद्धांत असतील, याच्या आधारे जैविक प्रणालीचा अभ्यास केला जातो. भौतिकशास्त्रातील उपकरणे असतील, सिद्धांत असतील, नियम असतील, यांच्या जोडीने अनेक जैविक प्रक्रिया व घटना स्पष्ट केल्या जातात. जसे प्रथिने, प्रोटीन्स आहेत, अमायनो ऍसिड्स आहेत, सेल स्ट्रक्चर आहे, डीएनएचं स्ट्रक्चर आहे, इत्यादी ज्या जैविक घटना आहेत, तर त्या घटनांचा अभ्यास भौतिकशास्त्राच्या आधारे किंवा भौतिकशास्त्रातील उपकरणाच्या आधारे केला जातो. याच विषयातील प्रगती व त्याचा मानवी जीवनातील व त्याचा उपयोग मानवी जीवन सुखकर करण्याच्या दृष्टीने झाले जे कार्य आहे, या विषयातील जी झालेली प्रगती आहे, या विषयावर सकल मार्गदर्शन करण्यासाठी आज आपण डॉक्टर सतीश कुलकर्णी सर यांचं ऍडव्हान्सेस इन बायोटेक्नॉलॉजी या विषयावर आपण लेक्चर ठेवलेलं आहे. डॉक्टर सतीश कुलकर्णी सरांचा आम्ही सुरुवातीला थोडक्यात परिचय देतो, त्यानंतर सर आपल्याला या विषयावर सखोल मार्गदर्शन करतील. डॉक्टर सतीश कुलकर्णी सर हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पीजी, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बायोफिजिक्स, गव्हर्नमेंट इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ सायन्स, औरंगाबाद. सर सुरुवातीला सांगितल्याप्रमाणे इंडियन नॅशनल सायन्स अकॅडमी अँड इंटरनॅशनल युनियन ऑफ प्युअर अँड अप्लाइड बायोफिजिक्सचे मेंबर आहेत. सरांचा पोस्ट ग्रॅज्युएट लेवलवर 39 वर्षाचा टीचिंगचा अनुभव आहे. 32 वर्षापासून त्यांनी बायोफिजिक्स, बायोटेक्नॉलॉजी या विषयावर संशोधन केलेलं आहे. त्यांचं स्पेशलायझेशन सांगायचं झालं तर रेडिएशन एन्झायमॉलॉजी, अल्ट्रासोनिक बायोफिजिक्स असे या विषयावर त्यांचं संशोधन आहे. त्या संशोधनाचेच आउटकम म्हणून 35 पेपर सरांचे पब्लिश झालेले आहेत. 4 प्रोजेक्ट सरांनी कंप्लीट केलेले आहेत. याचबरोबर सरांनी 10 लेक्चर सिरीजचं यशस्वीपणे ऑर्गनायझेशन केलेलं आहे. त्याचबरोबर 5 नॅशनल कॉन्फरन्सेस सुद्धा सरांनी घेतलेले आहेत. सरांचे जे वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी प्रेझेंटेशन किंवा लेक्चर्स होतात, त्याच्यामध्ये 37 प्रेझेंटेशन त्यांनी बायोसायन्स आस्पेक्ट इन बायोसायन्सेसवर केलेले आहेत. 30 पेक्षा जास्त त्यांनी वेगवेगळ्या टॉपिकवर त्यांचे लेक्चर त्यांनी दिलेले आहेत. 26 वर्कशॉप असतील, कोर्स असतील, हे सरांनी कंप्लीट केलेले आहेत. सर बऱ्याच प्रोफेशनल ज्या बॉडीज असतात त्याचे मेंबरशिप आहेत. त्याच्यामध्ये उल्लेखनीय असेल तर इंडियन बायोफिजिकल सोसायटी, त्याचे लाईफ मेंबर आहेत सर. औरंगाबाद चॅप्टर ऑफ इंडियन बायोफिजिकल सोसायटीचे चेअरमन आहेत. त्याचबरोबर असोसिएशन ऑफ बायोफिजिका औरंगाबाद याचे सर सेक्रेटरी आहेत. सरांनी बऱ्याच बॉडीजवर युनिव्हर्सिटी लेवलवर भरीव असं कार्य केले आहे. त्याच्यामध्ये डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर मराठवाडा युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये सिलेबस फ्रेमिंगमध्ये MSc बायोफिजिक्स असेल, BSc बायोफिजिक्स आहे, BSc बायो इन्फॉर्मेटिक्स आहे. बायोफिजिक्सचा जो ॲडॉक बोर्ड आहे त्याचे चेअरमन सर राहिलेले आहेत. त्याचबरोबर रिसर्च रिकग्निशन कमिटी इन बायोफिजिक्सचे सर मेंबर आहेत. नॉर्थ महाराष्ट्र युनिव्हर्सिटी जळगाव या ठिकाणी सुद्धा सरनी सिलेबस फ्रेमिंग मध्ये मेंबर आहेत. स्वामी रामानंद तीर्थ युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये सुद्धा सरांनी जो ॲडॉक बोर्ड आहे त्याचे चेअरमन राहिलेले आहेत. अकॅडमिक काउन्सिलचे मेंबर आहेत. त्याचबरोबर सिलेबस फ्रेमिंगचे ते मेंबर आहेत. त्याचबरोबर सरांनी जे एक्स्ट्रा करिक्युलर ऍक्टिव्हिटी आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये जसे स्पोर्ट्स आहे, त्याचबरोबर स्पोर्ट्समध्ये त्यांनी वेगवेगळे ऍक्टिव्हिटीमध्ये भाग घेतलेला आहे. त्याचबरोबर योगा प्रवेश ही जी एक्झाम आहे, योगामध्ये सुद्धा सरांचं कॉन्ट्रीब्युशन आपल्याला पाहायला मिळतंय. योगा परफॉर्मन्स ते करतात. योगा प्रवेश परीक्षा सरांनी पास केलेली आहे. तसेच NCC मध्ये कॅडेट सार्जंट मेजर म्हणून सरांनी काम पाहिलेलं आहे आणि त्यामध्ये ते पार्ट A आणि पार्ट 2 ही एक्झामिनेशन जी आहे तर ते एक्झामिनेशन सुद्धा सरांनी क्लिअर केलेले आहे. असे बहुआयामी व्यक्तिमत्व आज आपल्याला ऍडव्हान्सेस इन बायो सायन्स या विषयावर सखोल मार्गदर्शन करणार आहेत. तर जास्त वेळ न घेता सरांना मी ऍडव्हान्सेस इन बायो सायन्सेस त्याच्यावर सखोल असं मार्गदर्शन करावं अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करतो.
Thank you, Chauhan sir, for a kind introductions. Thank you very much to the management council of SHRIKRISHNA MAHAVIDYALAYA Gunjoti. I'm also thankful to Dr. Dilip Kulkarni and his colleagues for inviting me to interact with the audience through this particular venture. In fact, after the tenure of about 39 years, I have just retired from my government service, but my intimacy for the subject is continuously on, and I live with the subject, and therefore I belong to the science field as such. I'm also very passionate about National Science Day, because when the whole process of National Science Day started celebrating somewhere in late 80s, so we in Institute of Science, we had started celebrating this by making small model from waste which is lying in the laboratory, like thermocol or used wires. We constructed the structures of proteins. We constructed the structures of different kinds of biomolecules. So we some way we are conveying the things. So today I have a chance to interact with all of you. Today I'll be just highlighting some of the major aspects of biosciences, because there is a transforming field, there is a transforming phase of biology, and the biology has not remained as a descriptive science now. It has completely become quantitative, and therefore we need to understand it in a different paradigm of this particular science, because biology has not remained only a biology, but it is taking the help of allied sciences like physics, chemistry, engineering, mathematics, computer science. Varied type of subjects are working in, their principles, their techniques, their mechanisms, they are working in, and therefore I thought I should highlight some of the things within a time span which is available with us. So let me start my presentation with the first slide. Before I start talking about all the things, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all the authors, professionals, organizations, websites for their creation of information resources which are used in this presentation, because they are not of mine. I have just referred them and I have just taken them as it is with the help of pictures. I would like to thank all of them who served as an excellent resources for this informative lecture. All the resources are duly acknowledged, and this particular lecture is purely an informative lecture for educational purpose. It does not claim any kind of financial gains or commercial gain. I would like to thank organizers who have invited me for giving this particular informative lectures. My next slide highlights, salutes the nation. Our nation is celebrating 75th year of independence under the banner of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The Office of Principal Scientific Advisor of Government of India along with Ministry of Culture is coordinating the ongoing grand activities of science and technology ecosystems in India. As a part of the conclusions, these week-long celebrations have been asked with the title of Vidyan Sarvatra Pujate. So this is our theme statement, Vidyan Sarvatra Pujate, for this National Science Day which is being celebrated in 2022. So it is being culminated on 28th February. I congratulate your college for arranging such a beautiful lecture series on this occasion. Now, biosciences. Biosciences is a very broad field. Earlier, biosciences were also named as life sciences. But actually, biosciences is a natural science which deals with structure and behavior of living organisms. Because living organisms on this earth are one of the complex organisms or complex structures and also having a dynamicity within, and therefore their structure and their behavior is of interest to everybody. And therefore bioscience used to deal with all of these aspects, and therefore we call it as in a broader perspective, we call it as a bioscience. Earlier this was also called as life science. Even today life science is also being used as a synonym. Actually, going in deep, when you apply scientific and engineering principles for processing of material by the biological agent, provide goods and services, that is also coming under bioscience. There are a variety of fields which have come up in bioscience, and the bioscience is expected to be the engine of global economy in 21st century. So by 2030 or 2050, the biosciences will be the frontliners or the engines, global engines, because rapid advances in biosciences, rapid advances in these fields, they are opening up lot of opportunities, business opportunities, academic opportunities for exploring the life science related industries. And therefore now everybody is concentrating over bioscience to explore much more miraculous things in it. If you look at bioscience and its disciplines, it includes lot of varieties. Conventional subjects are already there, like botany, zoology, right? Food science was there, genetics was there, microbiology was there. But we have in addition lot of other fields are also working in under the title of bioscience, which includes biophysics, biotechnology, biochemistry, molecular biology, immunology. So these are also the disciplines which are coming under this. And the main bioscience, these are actually for understanding their biopotentials. In the sense, every science is giving us something or the other. And when we integrate the output of every bioscience, we are in a position to construct some beneficial aspects or beneficial things for the welfare of the mankind. Welfare of the mankind is in the targeting thing, and therefore this has to be always worked out. Now, there are a lot of challenges also in front of bioscience, because biological research has revolutionized, because it is using a lot of powerful technologies, it is using a lot of new concepts, new methods, which are coming from different disciplines like physical sciences disciplines, mathematical sciences, computational sciences, engineering sciences, and therefore biological research has now not remained as a descriptive. It has become more quantitative, more accurate, more accountable, and therefore the advances in biological sciences, they are having a tremendous promise for meeting the major challenges which the whole world is confronting right now. There are also pros and cons for these while facing these challenges. When we have a benefits on one side, we have a lot of losses also on the other side. But the balance of mind will be able to meet these particular challenges for the welfare of the mankind. The solutions which the bioscience is providing through this different processes is going to make these economic and social challenges to be met. And at the same time, it is also inspiring the science to concentrate over the critical needs of the society, critical needs of the mankind. The various scientific efforts which have already been done for meeting these societal needs, and lot of new products, lot of new kinds of industries, lot of entirely new economic sectors, and totally unimagined kind of the aspects have already started taking shape. And therefore it becomes very needful now to understand this miraculous applicabilities of sciences. Now, putting bioscience in one slide is very difficult, but I have tried to put all these bioscience related applications in one. But again, these circles which I am showing in this particular slide, they are not enough. These are constantly expanding, and when a circle expands, it used to meet the other circles. We have a petals being formed, and in that petal area we have new sciences coming up, new aspects coming up, new approaches coming up, and they are breaking open the new challenges in front of us. And therefore the medicine, pharmaceuticals, food and feed, forest industry, agricultural or environmental aspects, bioprocesses, biomaterials, right, different kinds of materialic sciences. These are some limited aspects of biosciences which have been well recognized, well enriched, and therefore they have been taken up a shape. But there are a lot of other aspects also which are adding up every day in and day out, so as to make these particular circles more expanding. Going ahead, if we look at the scenario of a new biology for 21st century, this slide is going to tell you something very interesting. The new biology is something which is in the heart here, which is encircled with a red border. Actually, this is consisting of deeper understanding of biological systems, organizing principles, predicting, analyzing and modulating the things. For this purpose, we have to have a scientific integration. Scientific integration of what? Physical, different aspects of physical and chemical sciences, computational sciences, pure biology, engineering sciences, science education, mathematics. All of this has to scientifically integrate so as to make this deeper understanding of the biological system possible. That means biological system is not being assessed or not being monitored, not being explored only from one angle. It is being explored from all other angles as well. And therefore, biology-based solutions to the societal problems needs to be addressed to the different avenues like health, environment, energy, food, etc. Now, therefore, these particular different aspects which each of this particular avenues are challenging us, they need to be met by proper integrations. So, integration of all sciences, near about all sciences, so as to make the biology enriched, can only construct a perfect bioscience picture. Now, if you look at biosphere, there is a tremendous amount of complexity, and this particular complexity can be defined at different level. Now, this particular slide of mine is highlighting this thing. If you look from lowest level, it starts with biomolecule, which constructs the organelle, which further constructs the cell, then constructs the tissue, then construct the organ, then construct the system, then construct the organism, then construct the population, then construct the community, then construct the ecosystem, and then construct the biosphere. So biosphere, whether you take an integrative approach going from bottom to the top, or if you take a reductionist approach, that is from biosphere up to biomolecules. So the pendulum of exploration, pendulum of study, pendulum of monitoring, pendulum of researching doesn't lie at one level. It has to take into consideration all aspects from biosphere to biomolecule or from biomolecules to biosphere. So all of this, when you try to integrate, then only you will understand the completeness of the biosphere or completeness of the biocomplexity. This is also best explained in this particular picture. Now, if you look at it, this particular picture shows that the innermost part of the nucleus cell, there is a gene. Inside the DNA, we have genes. Genes, we know that genes used to define every property or every kind of phenotypes within the living system. And therefore, gene which is sitting inside the genome which used to go for transcription, giving out mRNA, which is transcriptome. Transcriptome used to translate into protein and therefore constituting the proteome, and the proteome will take up a different kind of structures like 3D structures, and each 3D structures is for one particular kind of functions, and therefore we have this definition of the structure of the molecules defining the function, and therefore there comes the physics coming up in deciding these 3D structures. Then we have metabolome, because each of this biomolecule is involved in different steps of metabolic cycles, and these metabolic cycles, if you take into consideration for the whole cell, there are plenty of them. There is a mesh of metabolic activities going on, and all these metabolic activities, if you bring it under one particular title, it becomes metabolome. Then these metabolic activities at different cellular level, when one cell communicates, tries to send some kind of information to another cell, it used to send it in the form of signal, and therefore we have a signalome. Again, that is again a process which is a very complex biological process giving out signalome. And then we have different kinds of biomolecules at the time of transferring of the signals. When signals passes from one cell to another cell, it is a ligand receptor interaction, and when it is a ligand receptor interaction, we have an interactome, and all of this from gene to interactome level, when we say we have a cellular organization. So the complexity of the biological things is best explained by the help of this particular slide, which is to be understood so as to understand the bioscience as a whole. Because bioscience, you cannot demark that this ends here and the second subject starts here. Bioscience actually is a very broad discipline. It's like an ocean, and we have different droplets of different aspects of biological sciences which used to give a proper evidential base, proper direction to all of these different levels, right from gene to cellular organization. One of the main science which has come up somewhere in late 80s, it is bioinformatics. Bioinformatics has helped exploring the bioscience much in depth, and the onset of bioinformatics, actually bioinformatics, it started with some collection of information, the methods for collection of information, analyzing them, storing them, searching them, retrieving them, representing the different kinds of biological data with the help of computational techniques or computers. Massive amount of data which has been researched within last several years, right from the onset of mankind, or right from the onset of the nature, we have collected now in the form of digital data. And now this digital data, what does it hide within? The digital data hides within an information. This raw data, when you try to process it, it used to give some kind of information. So information is hidden within that data. And therefore, most of the bioscientists, what they need is, they need to acquire the necessary skill for processing the raw data, collecting the raw data, processing the raw data, analyzing the raw data, and inferring on the basis of that processing process. And sequence analysis of DNA, sequence analysis of protein were first to do, but now bioinformatics has metamorphosed into a very enriched science where a huge amount of data is being collected. Several definitions have been made for bioinformatics depending upon who is making them. Some people call it is an use of computational techniques or computational and information technology approach towards biology, right? So, but the main purpose of doing bioinformatics is huge amount of information which is being published in journals, which is already being lying in thesis, different thesis. That is not only lying in thesis, that is only not applicable only to the researchers who is doing the work in that particular area, but it is available to a public domain. Even a layman can go and search this information on the different nodal sites all around the globe. And this is the fancy of bioinformatics, that for all this purpose, for all this collection, for all this retrieval of the data, nothing has to be paid. You don't have to pay anything for it, because it's all free information which was not available earlier, and therefore quite a lot of reputations, quite a lot of wrong direction research were quite prevalent earlier times. But now, because of the data already is available, one is in a position to do complete predictions on the basis of the collected data, and then choose a right path to reach to the destination in the research. And that is the fancy the bioinformatics has given us. Now, bioinformatics doesn't stay only here. Bioinformatics uses biological information to study biological problems in wide range of scales. It's not only collection, storing and all that, but lot of methodologies have come in bioinformatics itself. And these methodologies are allowing the qualitative and quantitative assessments of already stored data. And this is not only left to sequence analysis or structure prediction, but it has gone to establish full-fledged workflows, full-fledged fluxometry, full-fledged metabolomics, full-fledged drug designing aspects. So these are the different areas which have been benefited, and therefore bioinformatics in one way it's completely congregating, it is confluencing varied disciplines like biochemistry, biology, medicine, biotechnology, mathematics, computer science, chemistry, engineering, pharmacy, agriculture. All of them are percolating into bioinformatics, and therefore the data is available. Now it has become the most essential part of biological system or biosciences. Bioinformatics as a part of as a bioscience, it has got a multidisciplinarity. If you look at this particular figure, this gives you very clearly, it does have an aspects in molecular biology to be dealt with, genomics, studies of genomes, mathematical tools, mathematical principles are always used, statistical principles, statistical methodologies are being used, numerical analysis is being done, algorithmic aspects are also important, data management procedures are also to be adopted. Image analysis is another field which is helping bioinformatics to go for structural predictions more in three-dimensional way. Evolutionary studies like phylogeny we can do for molecular studies. Biophysics as well. Biophysics actually has become a major fueling science for enriching bioinformatics, because biophysics deals with structure-function relationship at all levels, taking into consideration the biomolecular level, and therefore in the hierarchy of the complexity of the biosphere, right at the molecular level, the biophysical aspects or biophysical description gives out the clues for understanding the type of interactions so as to make this data more understandable, interpretable and usable. Biochemistry is always there, genetics is there. So we have multidisciplinarity coming up, and every day in and day out, we have a lot of tools coming up here. Now this is again a bioinformatics which is calling about the tools. Now if you look at it, the lower blue side is all informatic related aspects, and upper red side, this is also one more aspects where biology is related. Like we have sequence analysis, database homology searching, multiple sequence alignment, genome mapping, protein analysis or proteomics, 3D modeling, homology modeling. So this is always there. Then we have sample registrations tracking, integrated data repositories, common visual interfaces, intellectual property and auditing. So these are also slowly becoming a part of information storage or bioinformatics aspects. And therefore, bioinformatics is not only coming out as a bioscience, but is also taking up a different shape so as to help the studies in biosciences. Now, if you're involved in bioinformatics, then we have drug designing is one of the boon which bioinformatics has given to us. Earlier, the drug discovery process was to take several years, and therefore you must have seen in pharmaceuticals, we were to get new drugs once in a while after maybe about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, because the whole procedure of the drug discovery was quite long. But with the drug designing tools, drug designing procedures provided by bioinformatic tools, the whole process of drug discovery has reduced from about 6 years to about 6 seconds, right? And therefore, we are in a position to directly find out the drug faster, and moreover, we are in a position to identify the drug most accurately, because we are in a position to understand the molecular structure of the drug. We can do the changes in the molecular structures. We can do the interaction possible. Now during the interactions, any kind of hindrance the drug is facing, that can be sorted off, and therefore the drug designing and drug action can be improved with the help of this particular thing, and therefore site specific action is improved, and that has made the business opportunities in bioinformatics to go up. Bioinformatics is proving, from business point of view, it is again proving revolutionary, because for this bioinformatics, tools to be designed, the procedures to be adopted, continuous software developments are needed, web server developments are needed. We have to train the manpower in the field of bioinformatics. Therefore, we need training centers for that purpose. Then we need data management systems. For rational drug designing, we need to go for improving the procedures for different kinds of the drugs. We also have to develop different kinds of diagnostic kits, which will help us to help in understanding the disease faster, so that the procedure for curing that disease can start faster. And also we can go for a very prominent development in vaccine development. So we have these are the major applications in bioinformatics, which is again a field which has come up, which is again an outcome of bioscience approach, where in gene annotations we are in a position to understand protein structure predictions. We can do proteomics, that is analytical studies with proteins. DNA chip technology we can develop. We have already developed. Disease diagnostics we have improved a lot. Fingerprinting techniques we are in the front lines. Drug and vaccine designing also got improved. At the same time, when we have bioinformatics working out, there is one specific revolution which has come in the bioinformatics, that is omics revolution. We call genome, which is storing all that information about the cell organism in genome. Genome, proteome, transcriptome, metabolome. So these omic revolution, which has started within the bioinformatics, has helped a lot. Now, what is an omic impact? Now, if you look at this particular slide, we have 4 hierarchical level where this is applicable for pharma industry, health industry, food industry, and agro industry. Different kinds of approaches in omic impacts has helped them to go ahead with designing the procedures, designing the mechanisms, designing the approaches, so as to understand these particular phenomena more in depth, and that is helping us to go for information addition at all these 4 levels. It's not only the tools, it is also for developing the weblums, then toolkits, and different kinds of greed related aspects. That is again improving a lot in this omic impact. So we have omics doing a lot of help in understanding the genomics, proteomics, transcriptomics, metabolomics, right? At the same time, we have tremendous revolutionary change in technologies like mass spectroscopy, nuclear magnetic resonance, the X-ray diffraction, right? The electron spin resonance, fluorescence spectroscopy, CDORD spectra has helped this particular methods or these particular revolutions to go in a more positive way. Now, if you look at how we are doing understanding, earlier the old biology was experiment driven. Hypothesis was decided, experiments were designed, and results were taken out. Now, information is driven first, then experiments are done, and then hypothesis is designed. And the hypothesis is tested afterwards with the help of wet experimentation. It's slightly a different approach which has come up. And this is a paradigm shift in the life science research. What has happened? In old biology, we were doing experimentations. We were actually running the gels, and the most challenging task is, the concerned scientist was to have a good idea, then only the results would have been a perfect results. But now, the new biology, the total, completely hypothesis driven research we are doing it. But this hypothesis is not merely designed in a raw fashion, but it is being designed systematically on the basis of an information which has been driven from the databases, which are the information banks for the biological data. So there are a lot of developments in bioinformatics which actually is constituting your e-science. Bioinformatics, we can call it as an e-science. There is a huge amount of data, there is always a complexity of data, and therefore if you don't systematically analyze them or systematically translate them into useful biological, medical, pharmaceutical and agricultural knowledge, that data will be useless. And therefore it is necessary now that this bioinformatics data needs to be compiled into different sockets called as knowledge bases. Now these knowledge bases, this is again by using the comparative tools which have been designed in the dry labs, that is by taking the information, analyzing them. Now this particular analysis, what is being done is at these three levels. One, a sequence; second, a structure; third is a function. So if you can see this particular green arrows and the red arrows, they are telling you one particular procedures through which, if you know the sequence, you can construct the structure. If you know the structures, you can know the function. Or if you are knowing the functions, you can again relate it with the sequence. If you know the structures, you can relate it with the sequence. So relating it back, or on the basis of understanding the second one on the basis of the first, these kind of predictions, these kind of studies, or these kind of approaches, they have come into existence only after the studies in bioinformatics, studies in computational biology, different approaches in computational biology with the help of computational tools have come into existence. Now if you look at it, the old biology and new biology, in terms of economics, if you try to analyze it, the whole old biology, that has become miniaturized, means it has become less cost, because now for information driving or information retrieval, you don't have to pay it any cost. Then there is a more data which is coming in, whether you need it or you don't need it, but there is a multiplex amount of data, there is a more data available, and parallelly you can do the analysis, and because of that you can save the time, and you can go for even automation, and because of automation human intervention is lessened, and therefore economically the new biology is going to deal with more amount of data, large amount of data, and the process with which you are dealing, you can trust in it. Secondly, in terms of scale, from gene sequencing to genome sequencing, that is from about 1 kilobytes to several megabytes or gigabytes data we can analyze. That is a scaling level, how we can, by picking up several genes for expression studies, by analyzing the expression patterns of all genes, we are in a position to understand, right? Therefore, this is actually making your analysis process or analysis of the data to be scaled up in a way that you don't need much of the efforts to do this, because you have a tremendous computational power, we have a tremendous powerful tools available. So within a short time, huge amount of data can be analyzed in a very short way. And this is more a logic kind of a thing, like hypothesis driven research is there, and this hypothesis is not only restricted to raw hypothesis, but it is restricted to the data driven research, where we can take this hypothesis on the basis of information driven, and therefore we have a logic totally changing, and this particular logic which is changing, this will have either a reductionist approach, or you can have an integrating approach. Now integrating approach or reductionist approach will make this particular studies driven by the experts in both the ways, because of information driven approach. Okay, and therefore basic components the bioinformatics need is technology, database, algorithms, computing powers, analysis tools. With the help of this, we can explore much more things within it. Naturally, analytical techniques are providing this information. So this is one important technique which is being followed, that is DNA sequencing. Huge amount of species have been sequenced, and this is helping us to know the organisms more in depth, more integratively in terms of its genome constituents and in terms of its behavioral characteristics. Then we have microarray technology. This is telling us the expression levels of every gene present within the genome, and these expression levels will help us to understand the structures of the proteins and also their functions. Then we have a proteomic platform where we can analyze different kinds of proteins with two-dimensional electrophoresis followed by mass spectrometry, helping us to know the intricacies of the protein molecules as such. And lastly, we can also go for 3D modeling, and this 3D modeling is helping us to know the three-dimensional arena of how the whole procedure, all of that phenomena occurs within the in vivo system. Right. So biomodeling or computational modeling is one more field which has come up through the an outset of bioinformatics, and this biological complexity is best revealed through the combination of experimental and computational approaches which are being based. And looking at that, if you take genome, transcriptome, proteome, metabolome and physiome as a whole, the whole of this particular cellular structures is being dealt with at different levels with their differential information, with their individual characteristics, with their accurate level studies, and also a proper integration amongst them. In a similar fashion, we have a virtual human simulation of complex models of cells, organs have been designed. Like here, you can see this cardiac ventricular anatomy has been designed by using the biomodeling experimentation. This is able to understand the dynamicity, structural integrity of all of these particular structures.
The
physiome project, the worldwide efforts to define the physiome by developing the databases and model which will facilitate the understanding and integrative functions of the cells, organs, organisms, is helping us to understand the physiology of the organism well. And physiology, when you understand in terms of three-dimensional arena, three-dimensional aspects, 3D modeling aspects, then we are in a position to reach to the accurate level of their integrity. Another important field which has come up, it's actually synthetic biology in biosciences. Synthetic biology is an upcoming field. Synthetic biology actually is the study of designing, constructing biologically based parts or different kinds of devices. And this is entirely novel biological systems, and either you construct it or you can also re-engineer it from the existing biological systems. These existing structures have been used for different types of dealing with different types of problems like medical problems, food production and industry, remediation, scaling, national security, and even for drug designing, production of the drugs, targeting the drug delivery within the organisms, or even to the level of biofuel. So synthetic biology is coming up. Tissue engineering is again an outcome of synthetic biology, which is again a new arena which has come up in the bioscience, which needs a tremendous explorations. Now it is taking up a shape. And therefore the central idea of synthetic biology is that living cells can be programmed in the same way as that computers can, and one can make those particular things to do the things and produce the compounds which natural things are producing. Means we can construct a virtual cell, we can construct a virtual organ, and these virtual organs can do a similar functions as and original organs, and we can have a replacement of it. So this is again a synthetic biology which is coming up. And as far as industry is concerned, synthetic biology has a lot of opportunities in coming up years. Like we have a lot of startups which will come up for technological designing of these particular new biological structures, and therefore we have many business opportunities. Naturally, innovations within the synthetic biology is still on, because this is still in the infant stage, and tremendous amount of expanding of the knowledge based on different outputs from different sciences is always welcome to make this particular synthetic biology enriched. And convergence of all these technology will make the synthetic biology useful for the future industries to take up. As far as global market for synthetic biology is concerned, the global synthetic biology market is estimated to reach around $100 billion by 2030, and this industry has already raised more than $12.3 billion in last 10 years, and therefore tremendous scope is there as far as capturing global market through synthetic biology. And this will have an impact over the economy, growth, jobs, all around the globe in coming years. As far as applications of synthetic biology is concerned, synthetic biology applications will be of different arena. Like it can be useful in biomedicine, it can be useful in renewable energy sources, it can be useful in building up new materials or new kinds of fabrics, it will be useful in agri-tech or food technologies, it will also be useful in studying, tackling the environmental studies like bioremediation of soils, biosensors, or recovery of the minerals, etc. Different applications have been already started. Therapies with COVID-19 is again one of the applications which is being switched on with the synthetic biology. And these are different companies which I am showing, which have already taken up the different kinds of synthetic biology based products, and they are exploring it in them. So this is second one. So you have Caribou Biosciences, Synthrox, then we have Zymergen, Evolve, Jevo, Conagen, Impossible, right? So these are the different outcomes. So synthetic biology has got its sustainable goals have been highlighted here, and this particular goals as far as synthetic biology is concerned, this is for making the welfare of humankind more comfortable. Because all these avenues, what you see in this particular slide, they only take up this particular utility of synthetic biology to design different answers, different solutions for solving the problems, solving or meeting the challenges within these particular avenues or goals for sustainable developments. There is one more area which is coming up in bioscience, that is called as microelectromechanical systems, MEMS, bioMEMS. This is actually integration of mechanical elements, sensors, actuators, and electronics on a common silicon substrate by the help of microfabrication technology. So my bioMEMS, this is the outcome of microfabrication technology. So we can do micro machining, and it has got broad applicability, and bioMEMS now is, and which is being again an area which is coming up. Now these are some of the pictures which I got. This is accelerometer, and this is a working micro motor smaller than a human hair. Now these dimensions, these are actually expanded dimensions. These are the MEMS which I have shown. Their sizes, they are even smaller than a human hair, and these micro MEMS or bioMEMS, they can do a miraculous act when they enter into the body, and we have that robotic surgery and a lot of things which are coming up, this outcome. But that particular field is still, it is coming up. A lot of new things yet to have proved. It has not been implemented that effectively, and therefore we need to wait for this. So bioscience industry actually is growing fast, utility of bioscience in different industries is going fast, and therefore there is a constant and consistent training and outreach awareness needed to be developed by the community, and therefore this actually helps us to transform biology into different aspects, different fields, right? So this with these particular words, let me now take you quickly, especially to the students community who are listening to this lecture, that what should they do to come into this particular field? Because there is a question always that I want to become a bioscientist, but what should I do for that? So I have certain slides for you. If you have a bioscience degree, anything, biochemistry, biophysics, biotechnology, bioinformatics, microbiology, anything, so you have two options. One, if you want to go further for education, or you can go for non-science careers, science or non-science careers, which is in terms of employment. So there are two aspects. And if you want to go for job, actually the job should be as such that the qualifications, experience, personal attributes and skills, all of them should favor the kind of employment you are taking. You should understand yourself. Qualification, naturally you are earning. Experience you should get. Now this experience is not in terms of jobs, but the experience you should get in terms of education. Because when you are doing education, you should get exposed to different kinds of situations. Like if you are going for in-plant training, if you are taking some kind of training, if you are doing some online education or online, courses, if you want to learn some particular skills online, or if you are doing some kind of web-based courses online, which are, at a very trivial price, or most of them are free. If you go for an NPTEL or any other kind of sites, you have huge number of web courses. If you are not doing anything, if you don't have the resources, you can do that particular job very. Personal attribute is something which you need to develop within yourself. I am going to come to that particular thing. And skills you need to hone yourself. And with these four avenues within you, getting a job or getting a satisfactory job, ideal job, will be most easy. But this is again another picture which is telling you, if you have got a very good skills, if you are interested in doing that particular utility of that skill, and if you have got a very good goals in using it, and if you already studied the market in terms of what kind of field you are entering, that gives you an ideal job, right? Now the question is how to find it. How do you find it? Now there are different fields. If you open bioscience or if you open non-bioscience, lot of jobs are there. But when you go for looking at a job, simply blind search for that particular job is not useful. Or simply going and telling in front of an employer, give me the job. That is not important. What is more important is the job which you are searching in should depend upon the career you want to make within it, right? And the satisfaction you should have about doing that job. And for that purpose, you need to understand the pattern of jobs being done in various sectors, like bioscience sectors and non-bioscience sectors. Like in case of bioscience related structures, you can go for R&D, you can go for teaching jobs, you can go for clinical related job, you can go for some different kinds of technical job like quality control, quality assurance manager kind of a thing. You can go as a product specialist, you can go as a patenting authority, right? So these are the different fields wherein you can enter on the basis of biological experience or biological knowledge, right? Or even scientific sales, marketing, scientific designing, right? Those particular things. Even science communication is also a very good job opportunity wherein you can enter that particular field by publishing or making some kind of a small booklet kind of a thing of science communication to train the society. A lot of opportunities are there in that bioscience related fields, and we have a non-bioscience related field having a big list wherein you can suit your qualities with the kind of job you want to take within this non-bioscience jobs, and you can make this particular field explored much in depth. The skills which a bioscience expert requires: you need analytical ability, you need a communication ability, you need a critical thinking ability, you need observational ability, you need technical ability, and you need soft skills. So all of this is more important. Analytical skills, that is, you should be in a position to conduct the scientific experiments, you should be